My name is Roger Mahindale. I'm a sophomore at Claremont McKenna College in LA now. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, and I run on the varsity cross country and track teams at Claremont, as well as double majoring in Spanish and economics.
Okay, awesome. Were you part of any finance clubs or do you feel like you were at a target school?
I was not at any finance clubs, and I don't feel like I was at a target school in the way they would typically think about it. We have a strong alumni network, but it wasn't something that, peop tons of people each year are going to these great banks. So no, I wasn't in a club, and I don't feel like it was a target school.
What resources did you feel that you had or lacked?
I think I decided it was kind of the summer leading up to my sophomore years when I decided I wanted to go through the recruiting process. I had had friends that were talking about it that were in investment clubs, but personally I wasn't. And in terms of resources that I lacked, I would say everything. But I didn't have any guides or anything to work off of. All I knew is that some banks would come to campus every now and then, and I would try to go to their information sessions and see what happened.
Hmm.
So I really didn't have a concrete plan at all. I knew there was a lot of prep that needed to be done, but I didn't know where to find the information or how to do it. And my parents weren't in finance. I didn't have any other family members in finance. So I was really setting off kind of alone. And I think that's not the best way to go about it.
Before maybe you got introduced to my program, what other options were you potentially considering?
I had looked around just generally, and then I was referred by a friend to have a Zoom with you. And I think what really stood out in that Zoom was how individualized it was going to be. I wasn't signing up for this massive program that was just going to have these, cookie cutter things that they gave to hundreds of people.
Hmm.
Because I didn't feel like that would give me an advantage, but being able to have real one-on-one conversations with someone to get a leg up, that actually knew me and knew my process, I felt like that was going to be a really big advantage.
Now switching gears to like the actual program, what part of it do you think was like most helpful for you?
The work we did on my resume, that was I think the first week that we were working together. And when we kind of workshopped that and I finally sat down, got it back, and then actually looked through it with just myself, it looked so much more impressive than what I had before. Of course, it was the same experiences, but
Hmm.
being able to frame it in a way that, yes, accurately reflected what I did, but then also tailored it to an investment banking high finance role really felt powerful. And I think that was like the jumping board we needed. And I completely bought in after that when the resume looked, really great.
Definitely. And I think it makes a huge difference in terms of even getting like responses for networking calls or like selected for interviews, maybe if you even haven't like networked fully.
That and self-confidence, I think, was important too. When you look at your own resume and you're
Yeah,
impressed, I
that's a
think that
good
gives
point.
you that's really important. So yeah. And then I would say talking about yourself can be difficult. And so how you were able to help me build an elevator pitch and feel comfortable talking about why I wanted to do finance, why I wanted to be at this specific bank, and then also on the behavioral side, how could I tailor these stories and my experiences in life and put them in an investment making mindset was really
Hmm.
helpful. The technicals, I mean, it's important to mention the guides. Like I think you can get guides anywhere, but then to be able to read them and then have feedback with an actual person, I think is a lot more helpful than just reading the information on off of the screen
Hmm.
because they can frame things, the guides can frame things in ways that are a little bit confusing that you don't understand till you actually talk it out with a real person. So I would say that was a really big deal is having the materials, yes, having the guides, but then actually being able to dive deeper into them by having real conversations about them, not just, answering the interview questions and trying to memorize things, but actually understanding the material.
And did anything surprise you about like the process itself?
I knew there was going to be a lot of rejection in the networking process. You're going to reach out to people, people aren't going to reach back out. And what was important in those times when I wasn't getting emails back was to meet with you and figure out how we can more accurately tailor them.
Hmm.
And then once we started, finding a format that worked really well for those networking emails and then on the networking calls. Once we got those reps in, I think we really started to ramp up and see, a lot more positive returns. But it was definitely difficult, and I think going at it alone, I might not have been able to make those adjustments that we needed to make in order to see those good returns and to have the connections that ended up leading to the internship that I got.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of this process is like resilience and like tweaking things that maybe aren't working and having someone kind of guiding you throughout that process
Mhm.
can kind of also keep you like optimistic about the fact that this is just kind of how the process works and you just have to
Right.
like keep going through it until like an offer comes through.
Right, exactly. When I was discouraged, but then you were able to tell me this is part of the process, like this is not a big deal. We'll work past this. That was really great to hear. It kept me motivated and
Yeah.
moving.
And now moving on to like the most fun part of this. So what results did you see after completing the program?
Well, I was able to land an internship at JPMorgan for my 2027 summer.
Was this the first process that you went through?
Yes, yes,
So
it
you
was.
basically just like got your offer straight away.
Yes, I guess I should say that. So I landed at JP Morgan in 2027 summer. It was my top choice, and it was my first super day, and went in, felt super prepared, made great connections with the people there, and was offered it just a day later. And of course, being my top option, I accepted.
If another person was on the fence about working with me, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, you know, it's paramount to do it. I think I can't it's hard for me to imagine myself going through the process without this help. I don't think I would have had the same result to be able to, have my top choice and to have gone through the process in, I would say, a relatively stress-free manner because we were able to break it down into those chunks and follow a roadmap for, 2, 3 months. And week by week building. It wasn't like I arrived, onto my application scene not knowing anything and having to
Mhm.
cram for weeks and spend hours and hours and hours by breaking it up and having someone to hold me accountable, but also to learn and understand things with, made the process a lot more relaxed than I think I see, other people, my friends going through the process who don't have this resource. I find them to be a lot more stressed and actually, frustrated with the process than I found myself.
Okay,
So I think it would be absolutely necessary.
awesome.